Today, we are diving deep into a massive digital illusion. We're going to peel back the curtain on how online popularity can be manufactured by the thousands and what happens when that illusion gets shattered by one simple platform update. Let's get right into it.
So our story really kicks off with this number, 1.6 million. That is a huge number of followers for any account on X, in this case, belonging to Reza Pahlavi, a major figure in the Iranian opposition. And, on the surface, that looks like an incredible display of digital support, right? It suggests this vast, engaged movement. But as we all know, numbers online, well, they can be pretty deceiving.
And that whole illusion started to crack thanks to a recent update on X. Analysts are calling it location gate. It started showing where users were connecting from. And all of a sudden, accounts they claimed to be activists in, say, Europe or the US were exposed as operating from inside Iran, using state-privileged, unfiltered internet. Whoops. That little discrepancy was the thread that, when pulled, unraveled a much, much bigger story.
So this all leads to the big question, the one at the heart of this whole thing. Is this massive online following a real grassroots movement, or is it something else entirely, an elaborate, manufactured performance? To get to the bottom of it, researchers launched a full-scale forensic investigation.
Okay, so now we get to play detective. We're going to follow the digital breadcrumbs, walking through the exact steps that forensic analysts took to sift through millions of data points, all in the search for the hidden patterns of a synthetic network.
And let me tell you, this was no small task. The investigation was incredibly rigorous. It all started with this massive data cleaning operation. Analysts had to merge and normalize over 70 million account records. They sanitized all of it to get rid of duplicates and the little tricks people use to hide fake accounts, just to create a clean, solid foundation to even begin their analysis.
With that clean data, they started hunting for clues. The classic telltale signs of fake accounts. They were on the lookout for stuff like templated usernames. Think Reza_fan followed by a string of numbers. They look for what they call identity sparsity, which is just millions of accounts with totally blank bios and those default profile pictures. They also flagged accounts following thousands of people, but with almost no followers themselves. But the biggest clue? They looked for really unnatural, sudden spikes in when the accounts were created. And that hunt for weird timing, well, that led them to the single most important discovery of the entire investigation. This is the aha moment. The piece of evidence so clear, so unnatural, it could only be created by a machine.
This is it, the smoking gun. What you're looking at is a chart showing the time gap between the creation of each new follower. Now, if these were real people, this chart would be a total mess, completely random. But instead, you see these perfect, clean bars. A massive number of accounts were created exactly 60 seconds apart. And the next biggest group, exactly 120 seconds apart, then 180. It is a perfect, machine-made staircase.
Now here is the truly wild part. Of the more than 321,000 accounts they analyzed for this specific pattern, it wasn't just most of them that fit, it was 100%. Every single account was created at a perfect 60-second interval from the one before it. Not 59 seconds, not 61, perfect robotic precision.
And this is so crucial because, well, this just isn't how humans behave, at all. Real people sign up randomly. You might sign up, your friend signs up 5 minutes later, some other person 37 seconds after that. We're messy. We don't form a perfectly timed queue of thousands of people all signing up exactly 1 minute apart for years on end. Only a machine does that.
And this flowchart just brilliantly illustrates the assembly line that makes that pattern. And it's not even complicated. An operator runs a script. A simple timer loop says every 60 seconds, and on each tick of that clock, a new account is created and automatically set to follow the target profile. It's a digital factory, just stamping out fake followers one by one. The report itself sums it up just perfectly with this quote. What is being sold as support is, to a vast extent, a metronome and a database pretending to be a crowd. It's just the steady, robotic tick of a clock, not the roar of a genuine movement.
So, we've seen the undeniable proof of automation. Now let's just take a minute to appreciate the sheer industrial scale of this thing. We are not talking about a handful of bots here. We are talking about an army. This chart really starts to give us a sense of this scale. Even with a pretty conservative analysis that just focused on that 60-second pattern, analysts identified nearly a quarter of the 1.6 million followers, that's over 350,000 accounts, as belonging to this synthetic cluster. And honestly, that's just what they've confirmed so far. Yeah, this army isn't grown organically over time, no. It's restocked in these massive scheduled events that the report calls swarm days. Seriously, think of it like a warehouse getting a huge shipment. These are the days the factory just goes into overdrive, pumping out thousands of new accounts to replenish the stock.
And just look at these numbers for the swarm days. In June of 2025, on a single day, June 13th, the network created almost 15,000 new accounts. And over the next few days, tens of thousands more. This isn't a social movement. This is industrial-scale production.
Now, let's zoom out and look at the yearly production numbers. You can see it's kind of slow for a few years and then, boom, an explosion. In 2022, production doubles. By 2024, it more than doubles again to over 400,000 new accounts. And in just the first 9 months of 2025, it's already created over 500,000. This is a factory that has been seriously ramping up its output.
Okay, so we've seen the how and the how much. But now we really have to ask, so what? I mean, who cares, right? Well, this digital illusion has very real and very damaging consequences in the actual world.
And what it creates is this really damaging paradox. The intended goal, pretty clearly, was to project strength and create a sense of legitimacy, but the actual result? The complete opposite. It fractured the real opposition, it poisoned the online environment with distrust, and in the ultimate irony, it became a powerful tool for the very regime it was supposed to be fighting.
And here's exactly how that happened. The Iranian regime's propaganda units, they didn't even have to invent evidence of foreign meddling. They just had to point at this massive, blatantly fake network and say, see, it's all artificial. None of the opposition is real. The fake army that was designed to support one figure ended up discrediting everyone.
Another quote from the report just sums it up perfectly. It describes the whole operation as all fur coat and no knickers, elaborate theater wrapped around a hollow center. It looks super impressive from a distance, but you get up close and there's just nothing there.
And this whole investigation really leaves us with a critical question for our time. When the appearance of support can be manufactured on an industrial scale, when a crowd can be faked by a metronome and a database, how do we, as users and citizens, even begin to learn how to find what's real anymore?